I want to go back and audition for all the roles I didn't get. Now that I know that, like, there's a confidence once you can act, well, not can act, but once you do something, then you go, well, now I want to audition. This makes total sense.
Yeah, but the thing is you had to go through all of those things.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I had some brutal ones.
Oh, I had Bill.
Dude, I had one time for Boardwalk Empire when it first came out. And I was thinking, oh my God, Martin Scorsese, blah, blah, blah. And they wanted me to do some accent from the 1920s. And like, I'm like, well, let me tell you something, Shay. Like, what do you want me to? I had no idea. I didn't get a voice coach. And then I went in there, and the way it was written was the way people talk back then. And I just couldn't, like, and where I was, my head, I was so scatterbrained. I was moving a lot when I was doing stand-up. I was sweating on stage. Dude, I was just like, I was in motion, not in a good way. And none of the emotion was connected to what the fuck I was doing. I was just an abused kid, now an adult, trying to figure out fucking life. So I went in there, dude, and I just fucking, I don't even know what I did, but I was like, not only will Martin Scorsese never work with me, ever, no one will. And it was filmed. And I wanted to say when I walked out, like, you're not going to show him that, are you? And now I know the deal is if it sucked, she's not going to waste his time. So he hopefully never saw it. I bombed with Gregory Hines, rest his soul.
What?
I thought I told this story on this one.
No, Gregory Hines.
Oh, Bert. This story might make me go drinking again.
Wait,
still, every once in a while, I think of this. And like I used to do a bit on this where you just make a noise to try to shout the memory out of your head. Like you just think of something. You'll be with people and they don't know you're thinking about something. You think about something stupid you did, and all of a sudden you just be like, oh. It's just like, what's the matter? You're like, oh, nothing. I just, my back. It's just like, no, I'm thinking of shit that I did that I oh my God, dude. I always have to cover my face when I tell this story. So there's no way for me to equate the fucking humiliation of this now that I've done this big buildup, but I'll just give you the meat of the story here. I went in for this fucking thing and they were really behind. They were like an hour behind. And the producers were there and I hated going to producers. Like everybody's like, you want to go straight to producers. You want to go straight to producers because it's like March Madness if you got to start in the second round. So you already get rather than just, I felt way more comfortable one-on-one with one person. I didn't want to go in there with the crowd because, I used to fantasize, like if I had a 2 o'clock audition, I used to fantasize about 2:30. Going at 2:30, it's going to be over. This knot in my stomach is going to be gone. I'm going to get something to eat. And then I can like, in the hockey games, that was back when like the Red Wings and the Avalanche had these great rivalry, and I would just go home and watch that on my big stupid square TV. So anyway, I have this audition and they were an hour behind. There's a bunch of producers in there and I don't want to be there. And so they end up going to lunch because their lunch arrived and they sat and they ate their lunch. They were an hour behind and then they had lunch. So if my audition was at 2, it was 3:30 or something. So, and I was sitting there and I was just feeling all of this negativity. I didn't want to be there. And I was just like, dude, these are all producers in here. If you're ever going to make it, you got to start crushing these things. Go in there, be lighthearted, make a joke. So I was like, all right, when I go in there, I'm going to make a joke. Be friendly. Dude, I had to learn how to be friendly. I was one of those people, my resting face, people would just look at me back then and be like, dude, are you all right? And I'd just be like, yeah, what the fuck? I'm fucking sitting here. Is there a fucking problem with you? Like that's the guy I was. So I walked in there and they're like, hey, Bill, hey, how are you? And I was like, and I what I wanted to say was like, I'm doing great, man. How was your lunch? That's in my head. That's the way it sounded. But with that face, I came in, they went, hey, Bill, how you doing? I went, great. How was lunch? And they thought I was shitting on him. They thought I was shitting on him for taking a lunch break. They thought that I thought I was so important. dude. And I came off like such a dick. They were like, sorry. I mean, it was hot. We had it, and I was just like, oh no, I didn't mean it that way. And then this guy taps me and he goes, you want to do the scene? And I look over and it's Gregory Hines. He was the star that actually showed up to the audition. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Gregory Hines. And they go, and action. I'm like, and he was trying to improvise. He was like, hit me with the sides, trying to bring some fucking life. He was such a beautiful, generous person. Dude, the audition was over after I said, how was your lunch? And then I spent 3.5 to 4 excruciating minutes with Gregory Hines. And then got in my fucking 88 Honda Accord 5-speed. It's a nice car, LX. Bought it used, $5,000. I fucking got in it and just was like, ah! Just drove home. Oh, and then the worst is I get a little beep on my pager from my fucking agent because he wants to know how it went. And the worst part was when by the time I got home to my apartment, there was no message, which means he found out how it went. Because usually if I did well, there would be my little beep thing. Yeah. I'd stop at a payphone. I can't believe this is the way the world was back then.
I know,
or
right?
I would get home and it'd be like the, hey, you know, that agent, hey, call me back. You got a call back for that thing. Or the best was when there was like 2 or 3 people.
Oh yeah. I've got Andy Cohen, Barry Katz, and for Bill Burr, call us back when you can. And you're like, oh
yeah, there's an offer, right? So, oh my God, dude. And like, I actually now can think about that and laugh about it. But dude, that thing would haunt, that fucking audition haunted me. It haunted me. And I mean, it was one of many things like that made me leave LA and just go back to New York, and just because I was really watching Chris Rock's career being like, this is a fucking guy who got on SNL real early in his career before people could see what he could do as a comedian. He got some stuff. It didn't work out. And then he said, fuck this. And dude, a lot of people don't know, before Bring the Pain, he put out a half-hour special that, dude, when I tell you, from the second he got out there it was one of the hardest I ever saw anybody kill. Standing ovation, fucking ripped. And I remember that was the first time I had seen him since MTV Half-Hour Comedy Hour. And I thought he was great then, but like, I was just like, wow, man, that fucking guy is a beast. And then Bring the Pain came out, that thing hit. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing him as like second lead in a Morgan Freeman movie. So I was just like, wait a minute. I have like this fucking hall pass here. If I can build like a following, I don't have to go through all of that shit. And as long as I take acting classes along the way and work on stand-up acting and all my weaknesses, I can do the Seinfeld thing, which what I watched him do was, I remember one time he accepted an award and he actually goes, I'm Jerry Seinfeld and I am not a good actor, but I've shown if you surround yourself with enough talent, something like that. It was really self-deprecating, really cool acceptance speech. And I was just like, just that thing. It's like both of those guys I idolized. And I was just like, all right, I'm going to have I'm taking that from Chris. I'm taking that from Jerry. I was putting together my own little business model of how somebody who just did what he did with Gregory Hines, rest his soul, and on that Scorsese thing, I like, how the fuck do I pull the red truck out of the mud on this one? So I just went back to New York and I just tried to get better as a comedian as I kept taking acting classes.
I think that's what they're doing on this movie, is they have surrounded me with people that can really act, where you're like Mark Hamill. I mean, we did this scene the other day and I was just like, he got close to me and it made me uncomfortable. I was like, oh, that's how I'm supposed to be right now. Like I'm supposed to be
And I
uncomfortable.
guarantee you, he was doing it and he could feel that it wasn't there.
Yeah.
So either on the next take or some of those guys or women within that will do shit like that.
Oh,
And
oh, hardcore. My wife in this did one thing like that. My daughter, I mean, it's insane when you see them do acting stuff where you're like,
we sound like
oh,
morons. When we see him do acting stuff, I'm good sitting down, but stand up. It's like a Brian Regan bit. The yellow one is the sun. Hey, anybody watching this should give you hope. If a couple of dumb
yeah, right.
can somehow get into this shit.
I'm so I have so many like I'm watching movies now. Like I watched The Hangover today, and I was like, God damn it, Zach Galifianakis is fucking phenomenal,
And he's
like
fearless.
that, and he's fearless. Like I mean, you watch
dude,
it.
his choices are not. Dude, his choices, like if those things don't work, there's people looking at you like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah,
Like him in Baskets, him in between, even just that stuff he did like Between the Ferns, all the Hangover stuff. There was one other movie. I didn't even see the movie. I just saw the trailer of it. And he did that ridiculous over the top laugh. It's kind of like my laugh sometimes where you just like, but he did it so long. Like you almost thought he was going to pass out. And I remember when that came out, I was sitting there watching that going like, I need to figure out how to get that free acting because there's no way you're ever going to come anywhere near what that guy's doing because he has total access to whatever idea he has. He's just going to go fucking yeah, there were some guys in my acting class, men and women that were like that. There's a few people on SNL right now that I watch. I mean, they're all fucking amazing, but there was a few that I watched that
lady
had some
was
really big things that they were doing, and the level of commitment that they had. Fuck the response. I mean, obviously they want a good response, but I got a lot out of that. Like just, dude, it's like speed dating. How do you do sketch comedy? I just was watching them. It's just like, all right, this just totally 100% commit to everything that you're fucking doing.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't work and you make an ass out of yourself, you have to shake that off like a relief pitcher that just gave up a bomb to the upper deck. You got to do the Clemens. Give me a fucking ball. Just we're still up by 1. I'm getting the next 2 guys, and then we're heading out to Hooters.